Hey, what's up, guys? So there are two new radar detectors that are coming out that are basically rendering a lot of the current top-of-the-line radar detectors obsolete. I'm talking about your Escort Redline, your Beltronics Magnum, Redenso Pro SE, etc. These new radar detectors can do everything that those detectors can do, but better. So what are these things? Well, they are the successors to the Uniden DFR6 and the DFR7. They're being called the Uniden R1 and the Uniden R3. This right here is the R3. It's the one that's got GPS. Without GPS, that's going to be the Uniden R1. Now, if you take a look at the detector, you can see it's got a new OLED display, right? The new color screen. But what's really special about it is actually what's going on under the hood. You see this detector is digital. It's got DSP like the Max. Now, what does that translate to in terms of performance and features and Bsm filtering and all that kind of stuff? Well, for the past little while now, a number of us have actually been beta testing different iterations of this detector. Turns out this guy has been really impressive. We actually started seeing and testing that this guy was able to not only run on par with a lot of your top-end detectors like your M3s and your Stingers, but if we're not seeing, all the detectors clumped together, if we're actually seeing separation in the tests, we're seeing this guy actually crush our other detectors like Stingers and M3s, which is amazing. Like, we started seeing this in testing, and I was like, Uniden, do you guys have more detectors that you can send out to other testers to see if, they can replicate the results? Like, do we have cold M3s and bad Stingers or something? Like, it was kind of ridiculous, some of the results that we were getting. So I was able to get some more of these detectors to get sent out to other testers, and sure enough, what we're seeing is if we're seeing coarse limited results, they perform on par with M3s and whatnot. If we're able to see separation between detectors, it's able to outrange the current long-range top-of-the-line radar detectors, which is incredible. So really good stuff there so far. Actually, let's go ahead and trigger the alert. I'll show you what it looks like in action. So we'll go ahead and start with a Ka band signal. I'll go ahead and mute the detector real quick. So as you can see, we've got our band, our frequency out to 3 digits, and our signal strength just underneath. I'll go ahead and hit it with K-band next. So here is a K-band alert. If we want, we can double press the mute button. That'll be our GPS lockouts, just like the DFR7. We can double press it again, and that'll unlock the signal. Go ahead and mute it again. The GPS also gives us our low-speed muting with quiet ride. We've got our red light, camera alerts, etc. We can also display the speed and compass and all that kind of stuff on screen. So as far as the filtering, it looks pretty good. Actually, speaking of which, let's talk about Bsm filtering next, because that's a big one. So in terms of Bsm filtering, this guy is looking pretty good. It's able to, it's a quieter detector than like the Redline, for example, even though it's actually more sensitive than the Redline, which is really impressive. Now, we've been testing different iterations of this detector, and it's actually been getting better and better as we're working with Uniden to brainstorm ideas with them, give them feedback. They've been adding new features, fixing bugs, improving the filtering, etc. Now, one of the issues with this detector is the fact that it's so sensitive that it's actually picking up a ton of alerts, so it's really relying heavily on the filtering, which was kind of a similar issue that we saw with Stingers. The filters have to be pretty good. Now, this detector is not finished yet. It's going to be shipping at the end of May. And so between now and then, there's actually some additional improvements to the Bsm filtering and some features that they want to add, so the detector is not finished yet. Now, one of the things that they want to work on is the Bsm filtering. So far, it's actually looking pretty good. It's better than a lot of the current detectors, like the Redline, for example, which isn't that hard to do. But it's not as quiet as some of the detectors like your Redenso XP, partially because it's more sensitive, but partially because they do need to do a little bit more work on the Bsm filtering front. It does faults to a lot of the cars like your GMs and your Hondas and Acuras, but most detectors falls to those ones as well. Like Acuras, I think Stinger is the only one who can filter those out, But when it comes to Bsm filtering, so far this looks pretty good, and it's only going to get better from here. So looks very promising there. Actually, let's talk about how this guy compares to some of the other high-end radar detectors. I want to do a whole video on just this, how it compares to the Redline, RPSE, Stinger, Maxes, the DFR7, all that kind of stuff, right? But basically what we're seeing is you've got better performance than your DFR7, right? You've got the new color OLED display. When it comes to the Redline, you've got comparable, if not better performance, depending on the course. You've got better Bsm filtering. What's another trick the Redline has? RDD immunity? Yeah, this guy's stealth too. You can drive right past a Spectre Elite at full sensitivity not a peep out of the Spectre. You can get nose to nose with the Spectre. Again, the Spectre is silent. Really impressive stuff there too. If you take a look at some of the other detectors like the RPSE, this detector has better performance. I'm not totally sure about the Bsm filtering yet, especially because Rodenso just released a new firmware for the RPSE. But you've got GPS lockouts that actually work. You've got a frequency display that's accurate out to 3 digits, right? So unless you maybe need like a more compact detector like the RPSE, you know, there's not really a reason to get one of those at this point. I mean, the only reasons of like getting a different detector might be like if you want a detector with arrows, for example, or if you want a detector with maybe automatic GPS lockouts. The lockouts here are actually manual if you want hands-off automatic lockouts, or if you want a remote detector instead of a windshield mount, you know? So I'm not going to say this guy has obliterated every detector out there, but it looks like it's becoming one of the detectors to get. So if you guys are looking for a high-end, long-range, high-performance radar detector, definitely take a look at this. I'll put links to where you can actually pre-order them down in the video description. The Uniden R1 is going to retail for $299. The Uniden R3 is going to retail for $399. They're going to be shipping at the end of May, so if you want one, I'd recommend go ahead and order one. You can pick one up. I'm going to be doing more videos about these guys because duh, you know. I want to go over, again, how this detector compares to everything else. I want to go into more detail about this detector, the menu options, the features, show you Spectre tests. So, like, we've got a lot more stuff kind of coming. So make sure you're subscribed and take a look on RDF as well to get not only my information, but all the other testers, the people who've been beta testing this detector. They're going to be posting their information as well. So this is a detector that looks extremely promising. I'm obviously excited about it. If you can't tell, this thing is pretty amazing. I'm not going to say it's perfect. You know, there's still some things that need to be done. Like one of the issues that we were seeing, for example, I've noticed, again, beta testing, when I pull up to a K-band source, sometimes I'll see a Ka-band signal pop up as well. Now, it looks like it's ghosting, but I'm not entirely sure. The guys down in Texas, for example, they were seeing the same issue, so they actually started following and looking for this radar source. It turns out there was a police officer up the street a couple miles up the road sitting in a parking lot with his radar gun turned on, and the detector was able to see it. It was so sensitive that it was just picking up radar like super far away, so it turns out it wasn't actually a false. So we're still kind of figuring out some of the nuances and whatnot, but oh, another thing was we found in testing, the guys down in Texas found that the X-band sensitivity was actually not very good with this guy. It turns out Uniden had reduced the X-band sensitivity to cut down on some of the false alerts. So what they're doing is they're going to be bumping it back up to give you high performance and give you the option to reduce the sensitivity as desired. So again, there's still kind of some tweaks that are being made in firmware. I can't give you the finalized look at it, but it looks like this detector is performing extremely well. It's turning into a very solid detector, and I think it's one that we should definitely be paying attention to. So that's the Uniden R1 and the Uniden R3. Again, links down in the video description for a bunch more information about these detectors, but yeah, good job, Uniden. Looks like we've got an awesome new choice for a radar detector, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Again, more videos to come, all that kind of good stuff. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.